Turmeric, an easily available ingredient in every Indian household. Be it your kitchen, your first aid kit, even personal care. Who doesn't know the power of this great ingredient? Especially we Indians are so well aware of the multifunctional usage of turmeric that it is impossible to imagine our day-to-day life without it. We all know Vicco's long and healthy bond with turmeric. Now it's been a legacy over 75 years. Vicco is equal to turmeric is a buzzword today. Haldi यानी Vicco turmeric. Today, Vicco is offering us an amazing platform to shed a light upon Turmeric Battle, which is also known as Haldighati ki ladai. Turmeric, ancient treasure of our country, was almost patented by researchers in America. But one man single-handedly fought against it and challenged the system. Now we are going to have with us Dr. Mashelkar and listen to the story from the warrior himself. Dr. Mashelkar is currently the president of the Global Research Alliance and also the chairperson of the National Innovation Foundation of India, honored with the highest civilian awards such as Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. Sir also has written over 25 books and 264 research papers. Best known to the common man for his 14-month-long legal battle against the US patent on turmeric, neem and basmati. This victory was so significant that it changed the way patents were classified. Hello.
Namaskar.
Welcome, sir. I take immense pleasure to welcome you. Please have a seat. Your contribution to the Indian national science is so tremendous to be able to summarize in few words. I consider myself really lucky to have got this opportunity and I would love to do the honors.
Thank you.
The moniker of the Warrior of Haldighati, that is what you are being known as. And this title triggers our interest in Turmeric Battle. So we would like to know firstly, when did you come across this turmeric patent issue and what was your first reaction to it?
Well, I remember being in Delhi as Director General of CSIR, and it was in the year 1997. I remember I was reading Times of India, and there was a newspaper report by a correspondent. His name was N. Suresh, if I remember correctly, and that carried a very surprising news that the wound healing properties of turmeric were patented in United States of America. And I said, how come? Because patents are always granted when there is something new, there is something novel. They are not granted if three criteria are not met: novelty, non-obviousness and utility. And I said, obviously this cannot meet it because this has been used for centuries by our ancestors for wound healing and for several other medicinal purposes. And my memories went back to 1993, by the way, in National Chemical Laboratory. I was then the director. And I remember in the evening, my mother, my wife and my son Amir, we were on the terrace in the evening of a summer. And suddenly a bird came and fell. It had a broken wing. So I remember my mother instantly got up and went down the stairs and brought a paste of turmeric and applied it to that wing.
Oh.
And that has stuck in my mind. In fact, that incident was very painful because that bird died after a couple of hours. We had all fallen in love with the bird, and I remember giving him a burial where all of us were practically crying. So that was in my mind. But what also struck me was the great Indian tradition, culture, heritage, where we don't just look at human beings as live beings or as symbols of life, but everyone around us, including the plants and animals and the rest of it, anyway, so the birds and so on. So that memory was stuck in my mind, and I said, this is not done. So this was morning. And in the evening, I was giving Hussein Zahir Memorial Lecture in National Physical Laboratory. And Professor Haksar, P.N. Haksar, was the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister. He was chairing that. And I declared that I am going to fight this battle.
Oh.
Now that was very unusual because I was secretary to Government of India. And in all such cases, when you are taking a stand like that, you are supposed to take the permission of the government, of the minister and the rest of it. And here was a secretary to the Government of India just standing up there and saying, I'm going to fight the battle. But that I did simply because I always thought from here, not from here. So I didn't have to take time time for permission and this, that, and the other, etc. I instantly did that. But I must say, they trusted CSR, they trusted Mashelkar, and we were allowed to fight that battle. And I'm very happy that within 14 months, we won the battle.
Wow.
And there was an important lesson in that, by the way, because we had to give evidence to show that this was a knowledge that was known to India. And in order to do that, we pulled out a lot of Sanskrit text, Hindi, Urdu, 10 or 12 different languages, Indian Medical Research Journal papers, and so on and so forth, and all that was given. And what was interesting was that the US Patent Office even considered the knowledge that was there in our Sanskrit text as evidence.
Oh.
That was something new.
Really?
Again, yeah. So within 14 months we won the battle, and then of course everyone was happy because that was history. That was creating history for a simple reason that the traditional knowledge of not only India but ancient civilizations was one on the basis of which the Western world created new products and claimed them as original, applied for patents. They were granted those patents. They made money out of it, but never an acknowledgement to the developing world. And nobody had complained so far. Nobody had fought. So this was the first fight.
Wow.
That makes us very proud.
And what was the response you got from our nation? I'm sure you would have got awards and felicitations after that.
Yes, indeed. I think this is a very gracious nation, And I received enormous response from all across. First thing was the sense of pride that we have done it. Second was, there were of course formal recognitions in terms of awards and felicitations, but also response from the society in a very natural way. The first individual to felicitate me was Sri Pendarkar. Vicco,
Wow.
we are all very proud of our products based on Vicco, as you know, Vicco Vajradanti and creams and turmeric-based products, etc. And we are very proud that Vicco had pioneered, let us say, these products. So he, as a matter of fact, invited me for a felicitation in Mumbai. And Professor Gangadhar Gadgil, a famous economist, who was my childhood hero, by the way. I used to read his books. He was asked to sort of preside over the function, and we had a wonderful function. But one question that Professor Gangadhar Gadgil asked me was very interesting, because he understands how the government works. And he said, look, I understand patents have to do with commerce. So this battle should have been fought by Ministry of Commerce, Department of Industrial Policy Promotion. How come you fought it as a scientist? So I said, sir, it is very simple. I'm an Indian. Injustice was done to India, and every Indian has to fight. So I fought.
Wow.
Not this department or that. Because I think this turmeric battle has a number of lessons, by the way. And one of them is what I like to call as individual responsibility.
True.
We are so spoiled now that even if the tap of water in our home is not working, we say, what is the government doing about it? I think each one of the 1.3 billion Indians take the responsibility that this is my India, and I'll do everything that is good for India, and not look to the government or some police or some authority. I think we will do actual wonders. So if we take individual responsibility and say that I will act, that's it. I won't wait for others to act. It will make a big difference. Anyway, this was the first formal felicitation. I had a number of others, but the most important to me is the one that came from the society. For example, my daughter Shruti was married around that time, and I still remember Guruji when he pulled out turmeric, and held it in hand, and you say, each time now I pull out turmeric, I think of you.
Wow.
But even there were funnier things. Once I landed in Bombay, I was going to my guest house, and on the way I stopped at a haircutting salon. As soon as I entered, I saw two people conversing with each other. And then I did the haircut, I was going out, and the person refused to take the money. I said, why? He said, no, you saved turmeric for us. I can't take the money. So I think that is something wonderful about India, by the way. Our heart is in the right place.
I would like to know about the argument on the subject traditional knowledge base and this beautiful term we came across, laboratories of life. What is it all about?
Yes, see, we always feel that great discoveries, great breakthroughs, great innovations are done in formal laboratories like Harvard, Caltech, Princeton, University of Pune, National Chemical Laboratory, etc. That is not the case. Inventions happen practically every day. I believe that we have what is called as laboratories in every home, every field, in every farm, on every road, every street. And I also greatly believe that everyone is someone. It could be an artisan, it could be a farmer, it could be a school dropout, it could be a housewife. Even in our own homes, in the fields, inventions happen. We call them grassroots innovation, by the way. And they happen not in formal laboratories, but in informal laboratories of life. Now, what has happened is that we disregard that as something that's not knowledge. That is wrong. We have to give recognition. So all my life I have worked on this. What our ancestors have done, the ancient wisdom that they have created, the Sushrutas of this world, the Ayurvedas of this world, etc., become very, very important, on the basis of which we can build our future. That is the importance of the work in laboratories of life. This is one part of protection of our traditional knowledge, which our ancestors had done. But even today, all right, school children or all these grassroots innovators who do discover new things, we have what is called as the National Innovation Foundation for recognizing grassroots innovators. I happen to be chairman for the last 16 years. But really the person who I would say is my innovation guru is Professor Anil Gupta from IIM Ahmedabad, who started this grassroots innovation movement on recognizing the fact that everyone is someone. And everyone can generate ideas, everyone can invent, innovate. And therefore, people who do work in laboratories of life, they should get recognized. And the President of India himself, by the way, gives these awards of National Innovation Foundation every other year. More than 100,000 applications come, we pick up 30. And the presidents over the years have given these awards. And I still remember once out of the 30, 50% of them were barefoot. And we have now more than 200,000 such inventions created by people in villages, people in the streets, listed on our website, National Innovation Foundation. So I think giving importance to that is very critical. So I'm very happy now that these people who do work in laboratories of life are getting recognized. This Republic Day was very unusual in the sense, among the Padma awardees, they were not only the known faces, unknown faces, unsung heroes. And we had 4 awards which were given to such grassroots innovators. 2 of them from National Innovation Foundation award winners, 2 of them who had received Srishti Samman. So I think the entire society now is recognizing the importance of, as I say, the work that we do every minute, every day, in our fields, in our homes, by ordinary people.
According to you, where does Ayurveda stand today and hereafter? And what are the opportunities in this area?
I think as far as I am concerned, despite being a traditional scientist, I've had a great faith in traditional knowledge, of which traditional medicine is one part. The only difference is that the traditional medicine that has been developed, of which Ayurveda is a very important part, has been by centuries and centuries of experience which converts itself into knowledge, itself into wisdom. So it's a different form, let us say, of knowledge. That does not mean that it is less important than the traditional forms of knowledge. Ayurveda is, according to me, the most, I would say, valued treasure that our ancestors have created. The modern society has understood the importance of Ayurveda, and I find that Ayurveda not just as general practice, but businesses have been created. Vicco is a very brilliant example of that, and there are many others. The Westerners are beginning to understand its importance. What happens, however, is it is rather important that we took some important clues or new understanding of knowledge based on Ayurvedic practices and created new products for the modern society. I'll give you an example. For example, when I was the Director General of CSIR, my regional research laboratory, which is now known as Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine, they always tried to bring modern science, modern medicine, and traditional medicine like Ayurveda together. For example, in Ayurveda, there is always what is called as a trikuta, which is used. And trikuta contains black pepper. They discovered that black pepper has a very important chemical called piperine. And they found the impact of piperine is like this, that if you mix it with a normal drug, and supposing you have to take 8 tablets in a day, you could take 4 tablets, and yet you will have the same effect. We call it in scientific terminology bioenhancing. That means enhancing the availability of the drug in the stream so that it becomes more effective. It has 2 advantages. One, it reduces toxicity and reduces cost. So what we did was that we took TB as an important disease for India and created this mix of piperine and these drugs and did preclinical research. We did clinical trials, almost 10 years, and now there is a product that is in the marketplace, Risorin, created by Cadila, which is sold. And the benefit has been to the humanity because now they have drugs which are less toxic, less costly, eventually. But where did the clue come from? From Ayurveda. So I think this blend of traditional medicine, and modern science, of which Ayurveda becomes a critical component, has to be sort of promoted. In fact, I've been a champion of what is called as a golden triangle, which I had first proposed when Nanaji Deshmukh had invited me to Chitrakoot, basically. And there was a Chitrakoot declaration where this movement had started. And I'm very happy that the government has moved forward in Ayush, our department which deals with traditional medicine. They are moving on such programs in a big way to take Ayurveda forward.
You mentioned TKDL, that is Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. We would like to know more about it.
Well, it's very interesting. I became the chairman of the Standing Committee on Information Technology in World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva. This is a 170 nation member assembly. And I remember at that time that there was no knowledge about traditional medicine. It was not considered as knowledge at all. Okay? And patents are given on the basis of what is called as international patent classification. And there are lots of subsystems, hundreds of them, subgroups. But traditional medicine didn't exist, as though it is not knowledge. So I remember, while speaking as a chairman, I said, how do you say that traditional knowledge, which is generated by my ancestors in working in laboratories of life over centuries, is no knowledge? And only knowledge generated in Harvard and Caltech and Princeton and Cambridge is knowledge? That is not done. And by that time, we have won the Turmeric Battle. So people understood the importance of that knowledge, which is ancient. So we had to change the international patent classification. I'll come to that later, but what happened as a result of my chairing that was the US Patent Office. I sat with them and I said, I will come and explain to you why you are making these mistakes. So what I did was that I went to Washington myself. I spent a whole day in the US Patent Office. What I did was, because turmeric was just one patent, I had asked my team to find out how many wrong patents are there. Can you believe there were more than 2,000 wrong patents?
Oh.
So I took some 10 or 15 of them, went back into our Sanskrit shlokas, translated them into English, all right, and showed what they had given as a patent, what they considered as a new knowledge, was something my ancestors had done. So the basic issue with the US Patent Office, as they explained, was the following. They said we do search in our digital database. And they took me to our digital database and how they do the search. They said, for example, when your patent on turmeric wound healing properties was applied for, we went and put the keywords, turmeric, wound healing, powder, etc. and saw what comes on the screen. Nothing came on the screen. Because all that knowledge was either in your heads or in your books, ancient books. Neither did we have access to your head, nor did we have access to your ancient books. That struck a chord. I said, supposing I give access to that, because our knowledge would be in Sanskrit, in Urdu, in Hindi, several languages, basically, and all of that becomes important. So I came back and we created this idea of what is called as a traditional knowledge digital library. Digital because the word is digital, and knowledge that is not stored in the digital form will not be accessible. So in a way, when we talked about digital, we were talking about modern, and when we talked about traditional, we were talking about old. So we're trying to build it together. And here I must acknowledge my colleague Vicco Gupta. It was his idea to create what is called as a new international patent classification system, all right, where the patent office uses that in order to search and select and approve or not approve. So he said that we need to change the international patent classification system. So as a chairman of WIPO, the committee, I said, let's do that. And there was a 5-nation committee that was formed. It included India, China, Europe, US, and Japan. And they changed the international patent classification system to such an extent, whereas there was no subgroup on traditional medicine at all. There were 200 subgroups that were created. Okay? Then our knowledge that was in the ancient wisdom form in Sanskrit and all that had to be converted digitally. So I had a team of around 100 people, which included Sanskrit scholars, IT experts, intellectual property experts, whole range of things, And we created a digital library, 3 crore pages, by the way.
Oh.
Where the entire ancient knowledge, as far as Ayurveda was concerned, was captured in this. Now see the difference. What happened as a result of that was that in the patent offices, when they put turmeric, wound healing and powder, the screen doesn't go blank. All that knowledge that we have comes on the screen. And they now know that these multinational companies which are filing a patent, they are filing a patent on knowledge that we already had. So this has had many repercussions. The first is the cost of fighting has vanished completely. See, turmeric patent took me just 5 lakh, but I also fought the basmati patent. You remember that. It took me 1 crore because it was far more difficult to fight, because the company from Texas who had created Texmati had 22 claims, and one of them was a very difficult one to challenge. You know what was it?
No.
Because you and I use basmati, we smell it and say great. But we never thought why that odor is due to. They had found out it was because of 2-vinyl 1-acetyl pyrrolidone, a specific aldehyde which should be in something like 100 to 150 parts per million, that specification. So I had to set up expensive facilities to find that and prove that we already had that. And then that is. So the first point was that they were expensive battles to fight. They would take long years. For example, we won in 14 months, but Mexico fought one battle which took 10 years.
Oh.
So now with the creation of this traditional knowledge digital library, it is done at zero cost because it is there, right there. You can quite clearly see. Second, we have had now agreements that have been signed with UK Patent Office, European Patent Office, US Patent Office. In fact, when President Obama and Dr. Manmohan Singh, our then Prime Minister, met, 2 days before that there was an agreement that was signed. All right, and these agreements have been signed all over. So all the patent offices all over the world are mandated to use the traditional knowledge digital library that we have created, and it's a different word. We found that after the traditional knowledge digital library came, the drop in application of patents from multinational companies, it was by 45%.
Oh.
That means almost half of them said it's no use because we'll be caught. So it is now also acting as a scarecrow, if you like. So rather than filing and then getting and then fighting, they are saying better not to go their way. So I find that sometimes a small incident, like the bird falling right on the terrace, can have such an impact where the whole world has been sort of aware of they have created not only great awareness, great respect for traditional knowledge, but most importantly, it is not about fighting, if you ask me. It is about creating additional value for humanity. Because in the traditional knowledge, we have so much based on which we can create new medicines, for example. So now all this knowledge, which is stored in a proper form, is helping the entire humanity, I would say.
What is the potential of innovation and how is it going to help common people in India or overall the world?
Innovation is Indian innovation.
Yeah.
There is a very special way in which India does innovation, by the way. I call it as getting more from less for more. What does that mean? It simply means that by putting in minimum resources, we create maximum value. We had this unfortunate scarcity of resources all our life. But what happens is, scarcity on one hand and aspiration on the other hand is a terrific combination. So look at, for example, our Mars orbiter mission, Mangalyaan. We did it for $74 million and we are circling the Mars. US did it for $671 million and they are also circling the Mars. So therefore, our ability to get from more from less is absolutely incredible. Nobody can beat us. For example, look at Arvind Eye Care. In US, a cataract surgery will cost you $3,000. They do it in $30 and 40% of them free. So you'll say, oh my God, it is for so much of less cost, so it must be lousy. No, sorry. Actually, I can show you a table where Royal College of Ophthalmic Surgeons from London, 9 post-surgery parameters, Arvind Eye Care beats them by a factor of 2 to 9 in terms of quality. Innovator is one who does not know it cannot be done. Innovator is also one who sees what everyone else sees, but thinks of what no one else thinks. So, what you are talking about is really affordable excellence. Because normally when you say something is affordable, you say it can't be excellent. When you say something is excellent, you say it can't be affordable. Here, we demonstrate that the two can be. And I think that is where India can give the rest of the world leadership. So, in my mother's name, Anjani Mashelkar, I have created what is called as Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. Inclusive means including those who are unfortunate, who are excluded from the society, the poor, disabled, and so on. And this award is given on 17 November, the day she left us. And there what we do basically is give the award for the next practice, not the best practice. Because I'm not a great believer in best practice. We are copying somebody else's. We have to create our own next practices. I'll tell you about 3 innovations that won the award. One of them was Mishkin Ingawale. He found that when he went to villages, women were dying of anemia. And why? Because they were not giving their blood. Why? Because they thought it was precious. So he created what is called as Touch HB, where without taking the blood, he can find hemoglobin.
Oh.
And it will not cost 150 to 200 rupees, just 10 rupees. And he used high technology, photoplasmography and sophisticated software for photon scattering. And I'm sorry about the technological words, but he used high technology to work for the poor. Because making high technology work for the rich, very easy. Making low technology work for the poor, very easy. But making high technology work for the poor, that's what India does. He did that. The second award went to one Rahul Rastogi. His father had challenge with heart, and he had to take him in the middle of the night for ECG in a hospital, laying down and taking those 12 lead measurements and so on. So he said, why don't I create something which I can carry in my pocket, like your mobile? And he created something which is incredible. So you can download an app, for example, and an individual who is taking his ECG will be on your app, on your mobile within 3 minutes. No, it's as simple as using a thermometer, and as accurate, because I got it thoroughly validated, before it was sort of accepted for award. Cost, normal ECG will cost you 200, 300, 400 rupees. This costs you 5 rupees.
Oh.
Affordable excellence. Absolutely. The third one, which we gave last year, 17 November, was one Mihir Shah. Breast cancer. Only 1% of women in India is diagnosed for cancer. 50% is the survival rate. So you can see the disaster. And as you know, mammography, etc., is very painful. So he said, why should they have to go through that? And he created a technology, basically, where he can detect breast cancer, 100% accurate, $1. $1 per test. Maharashtra government has given him now 250,000 women to be tested, all across, including rural villages. Rajasthan will do something similar now, and so on and so forth. Now, the important point about innovation is that because it is affordable excellence, and excellence is something everybody wants, even the Western world would say that if this is done so cheaply, why don't I have it? So it is remarkable that about 3 months ago in Colombia, I was speaking in White Row conference, giving the opening plenary on affordable excellence, and I showed this. And my friend from Denmark, David Twitt, came and said, we will love to have it in Denmark. Because, our old women, they have propensity for breast cancer, and it's very painful. So therefore, and as we speak, that is going to happen. Technology developed in India. So we will not be beggars and borrowers of technology from abroad. We will not be saying first to India, we'll be saying first to the world. That is the power of innovation.
I can see you're still ahead of the time, ahead of the clock, and you're continuously working for the betterment of our nation. We would like to know, where do you get this inspiration from?
There's a secret that I always carry. Do what you enjoy and enjoy what you do. You have to keep your aspirations high, because your aspirations are your possibilities. There is never instant success. There is a hard work, toil, all the time, before which success comes. I myself, in my life, have worked 24/7, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, till my 74 years. I don't know how many years I'm left with, but till the last day of my life, I'll continue to do that. You look at the biography of any successful person in the world, you'll find nothing has come without hard work. So I would say, work hard. Because finally, You are born and one day you will be gone. You know. But what did you do for the society, for the nation? You know, is going to finally be
Stay.
left behind. That's all. So that is my driver. And every minute I feel, I'm a thoroughly dissatisfied person, by the way, with myself. I always say I can do it better, basically, And therefore, my life is driven by this philosophy. I'll tell you an interesting anecdote. I became Fellow of Royal Society. After Nobel Prize, this is considered as the highest honor. In 360 years, by the way, I'm the only Maharashtrian who has become sort of Fellow of Royal Society. And only 3 engineering scientists so far. One was So I went to Professor C.N.R. Rao, Bharat Ratna C.N.R. Rao. He's my mentor and guru. I said, sir, I've become FRS. So I thought he'll be happy. He said, not bad. So I got disappointed. I came back. Then I became fellow of US National Academy of Science. There have been only 7 so far, who have become fellows, right from 1870. So I thought he will now feel great. Again, he said, not bad. Then I became fellow of American Academy of Arts and Science. It was created in 1780, by the way, by George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. And more than 200 Nobel laureates are its members, right from Charles Darwin to Winston Churchill and Nelson Mandela to Einstein. There are fellows. It's supposed to be very prestigious. So I became one, and only 6 or 7 Indians have become so far from 1780. So I went and I thought this time he's going to applaud. Not bad. Then I got annoyed. I said, sir, what do I have to do to impress you? And his answer was a very interesting one. He said, look, you are climbing a ladder of excellence, and I want to tell you that ladder of excellence is limitless. And your journey on this limitless ladder of excellence has to continue till the last day of my life. So even before I pass away, maybe a second before that, I would be thinking I could have done better.
And what message would you like to offer to the youth?
I think the future, not only theirs, but the nation's, is in their hands. And building that future is a big responsibility. India's future is in IT, but not as in information technology. It is Indian talent. Our future will be built on the basis of Indian talent. And that is why this Yuva Shakti that we talk about, I'm very proud of the fact that 55% of Indian population is less than 25. And it's a tremendous resource. It's a tremendous Shakti. It's a tremendous power. India is not being looked at as a third world developing country. It's being looked at as potentially the third most powerful nation in the world. And therefore, they must give all their energy to making that happen. You have to work in silence. Success will speak for itself. It will make the noise. Don't wait for opportunities to knock on your door. Open your new doors. Create your new opportunities. Not just be seekers. Create jobs. That is where the Startup India becomes very, very important. I always say talent, technology and trust are the key points. The tripod on which future of India will be built. Indian talent I already talked about. Technology, yes, but trust. They must have trust in themselves that they can actually deliver. I think that's very, very important. If someone tells you that it cannot be done, take it as that person's limitation, not yours. There is no limit to human endurance. You've seen the way Everest has been conquered. First time when it was conquered, we said, my God, impossible. But now, even a young boy of 16-year-old has conquered it, basically. Somebody who was handicapped has conquered it. Somebody who was 78-year-old has conquered it. So there is no limit to human endurance. There is no limit to human imagination. There is no limit to human achievement, excepting the limits you put on yourself. So I would say to our youth, go limitless. At the end of the day, it's not me, and me. It's us, it's India, and my India. If each one of us says my India 5 times before going to bed, but more importantly, ask not what I did for myself, but for my India, I said my India will be very different. Idea of one India, that idea of India first, that idea of India matters to me, I want to matter to India more, is something that will, I'm sure, with our Yuva Shakti, absolutely ensure that India will have a place in the Committee of Nations, which is not here, it is right up there. I would simply say that before going to bed, if they say my India 5 times, and ask themselves a question, not only just what did I do for myself, but for my India, before hitting the bed. And if they say not only my India, one India, India matters to me, I want to matter to India more. That's it.
Sir, you're truly an inspiration to every Indian, and thank you so much for taking out time for us from your busy schedule and sharing a part of your wisdom with us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir has done a great job by starting this movement. We all can take a step forward and contribute to the betterment of our nation. Please do share this video with your friends and family, and let's inspire the change on everyone's part. And hey, don't forget to subscribe.
Everything your skin needs is one ingredient, turmeric, with powerful antioxidants including active curcumin. Turmeric is antiseptic, antibacterial and all natural. Combined with soothing sandalwood oil, it replenishes even the most dull, lifeless skin. So no dryness, no irritation, just gentle Ayurvedic skincare. Get blemish-free, luminous, even-toned skin day after day. Because a great ingredient gives great results. Vicco Turmeric. If it's turmeric, it's Vicco Turmeric.